Hello, welcome to the conversations on NTA. My name is Rita. You are welcome. Are you ready to have a conversation with us today? I am. It is still 2020. Some people say it's one of the longest years so far. Guess what? I'm sure you know why. COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever way you describe it, is still on rampage. That's the truth. And it's affecting our lives in different ways, right? It's either you're getting out of one festive season or you're going into another. No matter what part of the world you're watching us from, you probably are thinking about festivity. So today on the show, we'll be looking at festivities and COVID-19. Like I always say, a conversation is something we have with you. And I am not we, I'm just Rita. So let's meet the others in the studio. I'm going to start from the gentleman who obviously is very COVID conscious. Let's find out why. Good day, sir.
Good day. How are you doing?
I'm sure we have a safe enough distance. You can do without the mask.
I think we have.
Yeah, we do.
This is more
Great, yeah, so
of about 2 feet apart.
Exactly.
So I
From
think
this side
now
too.
see, yes,
So
Good.
from this side.
remove the face
So I
mask.
can actually take this down a bit.
thank you.
Yes, so that we
So
can you know,
let's meet you
and
because
have
we
a
need-
conversation so that viewers, you can see my face and see me very
Great.
well. I remain Dr. Tairi Yunusa. I'm an associate professor of microbiology and a COVID general. That is the way I would just put that as that introduction.
You'll find out soon enough why we call him the COVID general.
See what I'm doing. See what I'm doing.
You're spraying it.
I'm spraying now.
So that's it.
It's
It's
general
actually
is around. I'm spraying.
it's actually shooting the bullets up and down. You
Yes,
can see
I'm
him shooting it up.
shooting,
Yeah,
shooting.
shoot it up and shoot
Okay,
it up
can
and bring
we
down the
finish
virus.
with the introduction, ladies and gentlemen? Let's move on to my beautiful sister,
I like to call him COVID doctor.
Dr. General.
All of that you get to
Fine.
find out. Meanwhile, like I always say, my name is Elizabeth. If you like, just Liz.
Just Liz.
I remain Chukuma Ohaga. I'm a business coach.
Okay, and that's the house and you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we get deep into
The
a
talk.
meaningful conversation. Stay with us.
Wear it properly.
You know, he said we're not putting on our face mask.
And me, I'm putting on. He said I should. This is not a face mask.
I want to breathe
well. This is not a face mask.
Oh, God, when we enter inside, we're going to wear it. So I beg, just
No.
give somebody wait to pass. Allow me.
No,
I
ma'am.
told you to be careful. What's on your face? So you won't allow somebody enter because of nose mask?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Wow.
What did they do? Yes,
Wow.
for you. Why don't we abide by simple instruction? Wear your face mask to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
Thank you for staying there. It is the conversation on the NTA, and we're looking at festivity and COVID-19. Are you planning for a festive season, maybe Christmas? Did you just come out of Salah? Or is it what, Thanksgiving? Where are you right now? What are you planning to celebrate? How do you plan to cope with the checking of elbow distance, taking off your mask or putting them on, avoiding crowded areas? I mean, we have a doctor. Why am I talking about all these things? Festivities is what we want to talk about
ask
now.
the doctor. Nigerians are telling me that there is no more COVID. Is COVID still in Nigeria?
Okay.
Has he gone? Which flight did he use?
When Lisa, actually, it didn't. COVID has not used any flight to get out. I would say, COVID is still with us. The intensity that we have here might be different from what we see in those developed world. We see in US and in the European countries, but it's still with us, and you can see the beautiful work being done by NCDC still comes out to tell us the report about the number of people that are being infected. And up to now, folks there have not really backed down. They are still doing the great work that we used to do. And the folks at the treatment center are also doing what is required of them. And you see that they are still receiving cases, and then new diagnoses being made, new cases being discovered. And some people have been getting positive to COVID-19. So this is still to tell us that that organism called SARS-CoV-2 is still with us. And we should not actually put ourselves within any out of cloud of imagination that it is off. It has taken one of the best flights out of Nigeria is with us.
Are we saying this enough? I think Liz decided for us to start from there, because the actuality that you see around does not suggest any of these things you say we see and hear. Talking about the fact that the numbers are still over 100, 200 per day, we're still recording deaths. Maybe not in an alarming situation that led us to a lockdown initially, but we see other countries. The UK is on lockdown right now. The US is on like an upward jet movement in terms of the numbers, but we are going to the market and going to parties and going to events, and life is going on as usual.
You know, Rita, when you mentioned UK and US, I'll recount what I had as a conversation with my colleagues in the office, conversation crew. You know, we were discussing it, and I said, when summer came, it was like caution was thrown to the wind in most of the Western country. America, Britain, France. You know, all of them. Everybody wanted to enjoy the sun. Most of them went out there, you know, they knocked down all the rules and regulations and blah, blah, blah. Now they're going, you know, into winter. It's all coming back again. It's not because it's cold. Most of them threw cautions, you know, to the wind and imbibed all those things, lived the life, which is what we are doing now. Festivity is all around. About this period, people are marrying, people are doing wine carrying, people are doing all manner of things, and we're going to throw out the same thing. I don't know if we're going to have the second phase. I don't know. But I know that these people enjoyed summer, went outdoor, had fun, had parties, and as they came back, they went back to the hospital. Because
you mentioned summer, Chukwu, I'm going to come to you shortly. Let's get back to Doc first. Because you mentioned summer and winter. I want Doc to tell us what relationship there is between seasons and this virus itself. Because there is the unspoken, even spoken doubt about the fact that, oh, certain climates, this virus does not do well, so that's why we have lesser cases or no cases, because we have the sun here, and maybe that's why it reduced when it was summer over there. Now that it is cold, the cases are coming back up. Is that a myth? Is it real?
There is that correlation, obviously, and certainly so. A correlation between what we call a propagation of the virus and also with what we have, climatic condition that we have. Not to take the word from the fact that the period that we had COVID initially, that came around, we said it's a novel virus. We didn't know much about it, and everyone is. And as we stand now, more things have been understood about the virus, and understanding, keep knowledge about that. Yes, there is that actually relationship between weather as it is. But I would just say that most of this weather has one way or the other affect transmissibility of this virus. What we mean, transmissibility does not actually also come down to what we call a number of hospital admissions. Those are quite two different things. Transmissibility will be, you transmit to an individual, how the person do with the virus is another ball game. Right. Because we have to talk about factor of immunity, we have to talk about factor of where the person is and the rest. Now let's take it from that point to say that transmissibility from one person to another. In Africa, for instance, when we have the sun is, if you go out now, you see the sun really basically at the top there as it is. Ultraviolet light is there, and that is one of the biggest means of disinfection or sterilization, as we say. And when we now talk about climate during summer period in America, then when you find, and in Europe, South America, where you find a lot of people going to the beaches to sunscreen and stuff, transmissibility was taking place then. The virus keep on getting transmitted. At what rate it is, that can be another ball of discussion.
So now I see
But-
manifestation.
Yes, as that transmits.
Seed time and harvest.
Yes, it's time.
You're
Now,
finished.
now after that period, you now have people that now get back to their houses. Winter is now coming in, and then people are now transmitting. Now are now getting the effect, manifestation of those signs and symptoms of the disease. Now that being said, winter is a period where we have cold weather and the rest. Well, what that means is that a lot of people come down with a lot of catarrh. A lot of people come down with a lot of upper respiratory tract infection or upper respiratory tract as it is. Anything that is going to lead, that is going to cause the mucosa or the epithelia of the nasopharyngeal area to get deranged can actually help to propagate the virus, to make the virus to get into the system and create a lot of signs and symptom manifestation.
Wow.
Or to reduce the time taken from acquisition of the virus and the manifestation of signs and symptoms.
Acquisition as if it's something.
Yes, because they've acquired at some time and then it's manifesting.
Yes.
Between that acquisition and manifestation, we'll take a break. And when we come back, I need to hear what Chukwuma has to say. Because he's been unusually quiet. Is this a COVID-related quietness?
Smiling about
We'll find
that.
out when we come back. Now. And we are back, still on the conversation here on NTA, talking about festivities and COVID-19. Before we went on that break, I was asking, did COVID cut Charles or Chukwuma's tongue and he wasn't talking? But something has happened. Someone has been somewhere a bit festive and she's joined us on the show. How are you doing, my barrister?
Hi, Rita. I am just coming from Trinidad and Tobago, but there's no carnival, so it's fine because of coronavirus.
Come on, girl. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Don't worry.
Well, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, yes, Chukwuma.
Now that my tongue is back,
Oh my
you
God.
cannot bang around me. What are you talking about?
So that's what's been missing.
Of course.
Finally, we know.
Well, whenever I listen to Dr. Yunisa speak about COVID, the passion he delivers it makes me want to go back to university and study medicine.
Go come.
No. This is about the third time we've been on
come.
term set.
We're
But the
waiting
truth
for
is this. The records, the Nigerians, I always speak mine from the point of the economy. Because much as we are trying to caution people about the festive period, we should also look at the fact that most of the time that people were locked in, a lot of things went wrong. Aside from dying from COVID, people also died as a result of hunger. Some of the shops shut down till date, they have not bounced back. Some of the businesses wiped off, and till date, they have not resuscitated. So, yes, we are thinking of festivity, which is also a period. Most times people make more money.
Economy.
Because people save a lot of things during this festive period that will even last them till another festive period. So I would say using
People will always see money in everything.
yes. I will always, I'll probably lead from what Lee said. We shouldn't throw caution to the wind, but we should apply caution. We should see danger and apply caution. During this festive period, what, in my opinion, is while we are busy pursuing money, we should remember or should hear the voice of Dr. Yunisa, that there was one word he used, I was trying to transmittory, whatever. Transmissibility. That people should know that. Now, if there are things that government has outlined that we should apply, we should learn to apply them. Because irrespective of the fact that we want to make money, we also want to live to enjoy the money.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
If we are going to make this money, let's make this money with the consciousness that we wouldn't want to make this money and spend it on drugs. We don't want to spend this money and make this money and use it for burial. We should be conscious of the fact that as we are making this money, as we are enjoying this life, we live to party again.
Right.
So we should apply all necessary cautions. If they talk about hand sanitizer, we should make it available to ourselves.
Sure.
If there are ways we need to disinfect our area to ensure that we stay in a safer environment, fine. If we go out for a party and we are coming back, those things that we need to do to secure those who were at home before we left, we should apply them. So that at the end, it becomes a win-win situation. And we don't want to have ourselves locked in and not have fun, but we don't want to have fun and come back and be sick.
So speaking about, going out, having fun and coming back, before we come to Doctor to actually give us like a bullet point of what he thinks we should do or put in place before festivity? Let me find out from my beautiful barrister sister, who said she did not take a plane to Trinidad and Tobago, but did get involved in a bit of festivities, semi-festivities. What happened where you're coming from in terms of making sure people are safe, given that COVID is still very much around?
To be honest, today is a sad reality that Nigerians don't take COVID serious. All right, where I'm coming from, there was a schedule for people coming in. You know, my schedule was 9 o'clock, and inside the space, the hall we were, there was no spacing, nothing. So when I go in there, I was with my mask, and I realized half the crowd, half the audience didn't have their mask on. So the first thing was, my own was, wear your mask throughout. And then I was relieved when, you know, the windows were open. So I was like, okay, perhaps we have air coming in.
ventilation.
1 hour into waiting for the event to start, they turned on the AC, shut the window, and people are not wearing their mask. Mind you, this is 1 hour, so the 30 minutes
arrangement.
So the first 30 minutes people met the second half. So now we have, let's say if we had the first set of 8 people, second set of 8 people have come to join. So you have a jam-packed hall of closed windows, like a box, and people are not putting on their mask. And the whole time I'm sitting down there, I have my mask on, and I'm like, God, this country is going nowhere. And the funny thing is, the person who, the man in charge of the event I'm coming from, came very late, and he said, oh, for COVID reasons, you can't take pictures.
Are you serious?
You can't take pictures. No pictures was allowed in the space for COVID reasons. If NCDC come here, they will shut this place down. So my point is, you know, you are aware, and you still decide not to take any precaution. He didn't have his face mask on. Entry to the venue didn't have, they couldn't check temperature, no hand washing, no sanitizers, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Okay, so when I asked that question, I was hoping we're going to get a semblance of a narrative that will tell us this is what should happen when you go. So this is what should not happen when you go to a place, even if it's an individual's home. This shouldn't even happen.
This is a sad reality of how careless people take this, you know, pandemic.
You know, a lot of times we hear NCDC rules apply. It's now fashionable when people print cards for invitation. You know, they invite you to a place where you have the respondez.
Now becomes all COVID-19 protocols.
Respondez. Then just beside it, all protocols, all NCDC protocols are observable. You know, it's part of cards now. Meanwhile, when you go there, people are hugging and shaking, and nobody cares. Is it, Doc, is it when we put this thing on the card, does it automatically make us safe?
It does not.
Now that's a rhetorical question.
It does not. And to actually talk more about what you just said, to say it's actually a sad reality if that can actually occur at this time. And this is just what we are all talking about, offset, to say that can people actually now relieve and feel that they are going to lose their guard and step down? The guard should be up. Let's keep our guards up and then try to see how we are going to roll back this thing to ground zero. Now, to also say that putting that in you make rules. Then you need humans to actually do what? Execute the rules. And laws are made. If you make a law, you make a protocol, you need us, the individuals, me, you, everybody, to actually obey and also to execute what has been written. There's no point writing it down if nobody is going to execute that. If we say that there is a card or there is something, an event that is going to take place, and then we want to observe a protocol that has been designed by folks that have not been sleeping, trying to see how they are going to make you safe, and then we now come in there and we just lose our guard and everybody does what he wants to do, I think that is not actually too good enough. And I think that event planners should actually now come into fold. You know, event planners should actually have, some talk with the folks in NCDC, because they will tell them what to do. If you have a crowd of 50, if you have a crowd of 100, you have a crowd of 20, this is the protocol and what you're going to do. I don't expect that we'll come to the level where it is in France now, in Paris, where we have what we call Corona guards. Corona police guards are those guards that goes around to make sure to tell people that you must stay indoor, you must not go this, you must do this. I think we can. The shocking reality is that we can actually talk to ourselves and use our various medium, various languages.
You really think we don't need Corona guards?
Languages that can make us to actually understand the concept and then execute what should be.
Because to be honest, I've heard people say coronavirus is an advanced malaria. You know, I've heard that other gist.
The malaria kills.
Malaria
so the advanced
kills.
form should even kill more.
So when you say, with that mentality, it's more like, okay, we'll just enter a drugstore and buy anything we want. But people don't. I think maybe if someone close to everybody, one person close to everybody in this Nigeria should die from COVID, then we would, sit up.
That's not a good prayer.
Because it's not a good prayer, I know, but I don't know what we can do to conscientize.
We should listen to doctor and align ourselves with what NCDC says.
Do you think we have enough information?
Barrister, let me just say this, that people talk about that. I have heard that a couple of times when you go to the superstore, and then I tend to tell people that, can you just please put on your mask, please? Can you just,
before we have the conversation.
Before we can even have a conversation. I mean, just like, oh, sorry, what do you want? So I'm just looking at you very responsible. That's why I'm even standing in the first instance. So I should put on a mask for what? I said, please, can you just put on the mask and properly? And they put on the mask, and then we now have a conversation. And the person gets convinced, kind of like, oh, it's true, but I never had this part before. What I had before was the social media narrative of that. In fact, social media narrative of the test is kind of like an advanced wicked of injection, that blood will come out, all those sort of things. Then you now tell them that this is not how it is. Also with treatment, because when you go to the next person, you see the person using what we call a chin mask, not a face mask at all, chin mask, eye mask, nose mask.
But where it should cover.
I even saw somebody with a ear mask, but just with ear mask. He just put something on the ear, and then something was rolling. When I asked him, he said, well, this is his form of his ear marks, of course, but he's listening to music. But the thing is that we need to talk to ourselves in some language that we understand. More needs to be done. National Orientation Agency, this is where we need everybody. Exactly. Let everybody come into it. And Nigerians are very, very understandable guys.
I agree.
Let me tell you, during that period, that early period when we had a near lockdown, anywhere you go, you see guys telling you that, what are we waiting for in the airport? This airport should be closed down so that they will not import corona in. And I tend to ask people that, wow, so you know that corona can actually be imported and I say, yes, because we don't have it here. And it's coming from outside. I mean, that little awareness, even before we started our campaign of enlightenment of the public, people are already aware that this is coming from outside. And I think we are very much at a greater advantage ever than before.
Now, sir, one thing that is very clear is that because when you say people, I always want to add some.
Yeah.
Some people know that COVID does not move. People move it.
Right.
Some people believe it does not exist.
Yeah.
In this pandemic, after the lockdown was lifted, I've had cause to make a road trip to another state in this country where they see me with a face mask and are like, you're from Abuja and Lagos. You are the people that are bringing COVID. There is no COVID here.
Are you sure it's not your village?
Even if it's very possible. It's not my village, but it's very possible.
We have to define what that village is.
Because once they see you, they're like, oh, these people, it's big people disease, you have come with your... So they believe it doesn't exist. Or it's a bourgeois illness. It's for rich people. It does not affect the common man. Now on radio, I've interviewed a survivor who is like you and I. I've interviewed a survivor who is... We have seen records of people who are up there that passed as a result. And I don't know what else we need to be convinced.
I think I need to get what your village is so that I can look at what is called as disaggregation prevalence of COVID, so that I can now say, or incidence of COVID, they will now say,
I'm from Delta State, and I actually went to a city in Delta. Funny enough, my village, Abracadabra, they're actually more aware than places like maybe Saple or Warri, for instance. If you go to the organized malls where they don't have a choice but to abide by these NCDC rules, you would see that they will not let you in without a face mask.
Yeah.
But the face mask is just so because the law in this place says I must wear it, not because they understand that it is needed. So you see somebody put on a face mask, gets into Warri Mall, for instance, comes outside, takes it off, put it in his pocket, and gets into a public transport with 4 people at the back seat. That's the reality. So that's why I said, are you sure we don't need the COVID guards?
It's really sad. But what I was thinking, that beyond even the COVID guards, now a lot of people are going to make movements to the hinterlands, the villages for celebration.
Or 1 December.
You know, that kind of a thing. I was thinking, if it were possible, the NCDC, I don't know, the PTF, I don't know who, maybe orientation on whoever, find a meeting point between themselves and the traditional leaders of different communities. You know, get to speak, because most of these things, the perpetrators are in the villages. When it happens, some people will tell you, like you said, somebody said, it is not, there is no such disease in our land. Our forefathers, you know, took care of everything. Nothing will happen to you as long as you drink and do everything we want to do. Nothing will happen to you. At the end of the day, we still come back sick. If it's possible to speak to or have a conversation with the leaders of different communities so that they can help, you know, talk to their people. As people come in, you don't know who went where and what the person has. A lot of times when people are ill, they head home. You know, so you don't know who came in from Obodo Ibo, you know. You don't know who came in from Abuja. You don't know what sickness they have. And they are running back to where they think is home.
Lisa,
I don't want my dead body to be carried.
I got a message during the lockdown of, I thought it was scam though, but it's when something like this, somebody has been infected by COVID, is in a very critical condition, and he needs to go to the village, but they don't have enough money, so they need help. I should please help. And I'm like, my help was 2 addresses. 1, Asokoro General Hospital. The second help, it was actually 3. The other one was the address of the Gwagwalada Treatment Center, and then there was one in where's this place close to the industrial area in Abuja? I said, my help for you are these 3 addresses. Use any one. Treatment is free. You can call them. You don't even need transportation. They will come and pick you. Here is NCDC number. Thank you very much.
Speaking of which,
because I don't understand why somebody needs me to give you money to go to the village when you claim you have COVID-19.
When you have better treatment here than what you would have.
You know, people always find ways of making money from people
exploiting
using this kind of things to attract some kind of sympathy and then get you to release money. You may not have fallen to that. A lot of other people would have fallen into that. And the question is, you responded because first you're enlightened, you have information. The other person might be thinking, this my brother or sister might be dying, and out of that sympathy will release the money. Meanwhile, the sole aim of this person requesting for this money might be to carry this money to go and drink somewhere else. It's so sad. But I am still pleading because the effect of the COVID in the economy was too much. And it's still bad. It's still hitting us so bad.
Liz, are you smiling?
It's still hitting us so bad.
Have we gone back to economy?
You cannot do anything with Chukwuma and not talk about money. But he has a way of dribbling his ball back to business.
It's right. It's right. Actually, it's right, because you see, even when you look at the United States of America,
our economic conscience on set.
Yes, because if you look at United States of America, really, you see there was that kind of a balance between lockdown, economy, and COVID. You know, there were some demonstrators in Germany. Are you telling me that those guys are not enlightened enough in Germany to know that the government is trying to protect them? But they are actually asking them that, what do you want me to do? I don't need your money, government. I need to do my business, and I can make thousands more than that. So it's usually a balance. But just like what you said, which is it? Life first. Then you can enjoy all those times.
Now, speaking of,
and we need to actually put together the protocol for these travels into the interland and what you need to do and the consciousness of doing it.
Doc, we would like for you to list these protocols for us before we are done. But before we get to that listing, there are some myths, some beliefs around COVID-19, whether it's in a festive season or not, that is, really is a challenge. Some myths of, oh, I can do this and get away, oh, I can take this and cure it, oh, it cannot affect me if I do this or if I do that. What are some of the myths you've had to deal with? I mean, because one thing we need to know is that Doc is not just a medical doctor. He is one of the people who started establish some of what do you call the centers now?
Isolation
The isolation centers
No,
in
treatment
Abuja.
center.
Isolation and treatment centers in Abuja. So you've worked closely with patients and experts as far as COVID-19 is concerned, and there are a lot of myths that you've had to handle. Tell us about some of them.
Straightforward, I would say one of them that was so interesting is somebody now coming in and said that he rejects.
Not my portion.
It's not my portion.
It's not my portion.
Not my portion.
I reject COVID-19. When you are down, you know. And two, when you see a situation whereby
okay, when you test people and they test positive,
when
they
test
tell you
positive,
it's not my portion.
and then you have to now know how diplomatic, how to give the, you know. And when you are doing that, it says stop right there. I reject it, you know, and it's not my portion. And then, so you now have to. That is one. The second one is that psychological part of breaking the news to the patient and now telling the patient way forward. You just have to be expert, and you need to actually, I mean, God bless those, you know, those folks that goes in there to tell the patient what it is and the rest. Another one is that you are in the treatment centers, and then you are trying to administer drug to the patient that this is what you take and things like that, and something. And the patient will tell, oh, no, don't worry, please, you can just step aside. Just keep your drug. I have my drug. What do you mean by that? They will bring out what is called cheetah. Well, I also call it, we call it cheetah, what is it, ginger. They'll bring out ginger. You see a bottle full of ginger, about 12 inside the corner, drinking one per day. You will finish one. He said, sir, you'll be predisposed to ulcer if you continue like this. He said, no, that he has been told that if he takes that, the corona will go.
So he went to hospital with his own drug. No, why did he come now?
He went to the hospital.
He needed space.
He needed space. And one of those myths I saw that was so interesting, on a funny note, is when you now see a patient that was brought into the treatment center, and then the second negative result came out, and then we now told him that, sorry, so, don't let me mention. And then we now told him that, please, you can now go home. You are now be certified negative, and please obey the usual protocols by the NCDC, by the PTF, and all those things and the rest. He said, why did you bring this news to me? I want to stay here. I said,
You are taking care of the patients, right?
Yeah, that is, you are taking
Free
care
meals.
of. Exactly.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
He listed 4 things that actually shocked. I didn't even realize what was happening. And he said, in this place, sir, I have electricity 24 hours. I said,
can you beat that?
He said, in this place, my battery never ran down and I have data to be browsing. I said, wow. He said, in this place, 3 square meters uninterrupted. I said, wow. And then the 4th one is that he said the drugs and all those things, yes, they are working. You guys have been fantastic. At least every day, somebody will come in, putting on white, putting on all those things, like an angel coming to say, how are you doing?
Can you imagine
I said,
that?
wow. Now I now sat down and said, ooh, these are some of those things that actually
we
are
may laugh
documented.
about it, but it just points to the little basic necessities of life that we lack as a people.
So you see, we are coming back to the economy.
My question for you, Doc, is
Chukwuma, we are coming back to you.
she asked about myth. I'm trying to find out about facts.
Yeah.
So I heard in the news about a possible cure for COVID, but the terms, it has to be in the 70 degree space and has to be administered immediately. The ice is all that. Is that
Cold chain.
Yes. Is that a fact or is a myth?
Yeah.
Do we have hope? How soon before we get it in this part of the world? How do we transport it in that?
Yes,
in that condition.
I would just rightly say that straightforward, that is a fact. That a lot of, I mean, we have everything to rejoice about, that the vaccine is definitely on its way. Okay. And thank you for actually bringing that up. It's a fact. And a lot of companies, a lot of guys, a lot of people have pumped in money into these vaccine trials. And we are now getting to the stage whereby we can actually get those vaccines up to about 90% about to be rolled out. And that is no mean feat. Now, when these vaccines are going to be rolled out, I think where we are going to have that we're going to do a lot of work is the part of the distribution of the vaccine. Taking the word of our great woman representing us in the United Nations, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Muhammad, when she says that please, when this vaccine is going to be rolled out, please let's prioritize women, girl child, and those deprived, so that whenever where they are, whenever the situation they are, we should try and get these vaccines to them so that it can be
in good condition.
In good condition. And that simply means logistics for us as healthcare workers should be able to find a means of actually putting those infrastructure that are needed to take these vaccines to them, being cold chain, being -80 storage, being all those, because this is not rocket science. These are things that can, because I can tell you that we have some of those cold chains and all those things available in the country that was used by primary healthcare development in the distribution of polio and all those stuff and the rest. So we have it. So why not we upgrade what we already have on ground? Because if you realize, polio vaccination actually went round.
It went round, yes.
And then today we are certified free of polio. We can also use that. And also bringing in all our traditional rulers, just as you said, Lisa, bringing our traditional rulers, the community leaders, the youth in the area, the guys, and then the women. We should not. I always say it's going to be criminal when this vaccine comes in and then we leave and forget that critical,
Speaking of criminality, I don't know if I should still bring up
barrister.
Barrister, to be honest.
No, for today, that's your...
No.
See, you know why?
I have
She just came from the registry, so...
No.
Go ahead.
I have, I'm very close to a lot of medical personnel.
Yeah.
And one of my friend who works in a hospital here told me in confidence of some, I don't know the word, is it malpractice going on economically? So, a child was in the playground and then he breaks his hand and stuff, and then he's taken to the hospital. The parents pay, they do everything normal. But when the receipts came, it is written COVID case and the child's name and all that. Now, from the information I learned is that particular hospital, for every COVID case they treat, I think the government reimburses them.
Also, now they treat another thing.
They're talking about criminality and economic implications.
That's a whole kettle of fish.
I think you need to land, but before you land, before the plane taxis to land very well before you come out from it, I think we need to actually get the fact to say that I'm not here to defend anybody, and I would say government don't pay.
Because I want to ask if you have that information, or if it is true or it's factual, because we don't
so it's not factual,
educate.
Actually. I think it's not factual. I think we need to educate the public to actually realize that.
Because
when we look at the answer, which is payment after seeing a patient, that does not occur, does not happen, and never
existed.
They're supposed
to go to the treatment center, not another hospital.
So not all hospitals actually take care of COVID cases. In fact, the hospital need to be accredited, even to take a diagnostic test, to do treatment, and also to certify patient-free to travel.
I think
these are some
we
of the
discussed
things,
misinformation and COVID-19? We did, right?
Yeah, we did
We've talked about it on the show, and that's one of the things that, you know, the fact that people say things and just come up with mischievous information, and it flies, and like, you know, reported speech, you add up as it goes.
And grows. Before you know it grows. There's a hashtag,
which is why I brought it up, because
I think it's good that we
if
actually
she passes
clarify
that information to like 2 or 3 or 4 people, that is how it spreads.
Absolutely.
Oh, Abuja hospitals, this is what they are doing. This is how they are making money. The government is a fraud. So
we need to kill that information.
But this is where the NOA comes in, National Orientation Agency. I wouldn't want to blame them in the TV, but I would want to say what I want to say. The orientation on this COVID thing has been reactionary, not proactive. They always react to what people say. And you spend more trying to correct an impression that had been released than when you create the information. I'll give kudos to NCDC, PT, the Presidential Task Force
Yes,
on
PTF.
that. But you see, NOA, these grassroots lessons and everything should have been their core job. It should have been everything that we need to know about this ought to have been spearheaded by them.
And then speaking of still festivity and COVID, Doc, I would like to know, I live in Abuja, but I would like to visit home. Some other persons will probably do the same. What are the needful I should do to ensure that I don't carry disease to my aged people?
Okay, you don't carry, so that COVID is not taken
It's
to
not
our...
moving
Yes.
with you.
Okay, I think the first thing that we need to say is that if it is not necessary to travel,
Don't travel.
don't move,
Stay
don't
back.
travel. That is the first thing.
Wow.
The second one, if it is
Chukuma,
now, if it's now necessary,
Chukuma, did you say you heard?
so
I'll keep a tab on you.
I have heard. You know that I'm not a fan of traveling.
is it traveling by air or by road or by
Regardless.
boat? Regardless
Traveling.
of
No, I used to, but not now.
So if it's not necessary to travel, don't even move, just stay. I will just take the word of Anthony Fauci, you know, our renowned elder in infectious disease from the US, who says that this is the period of Thanksgiving, but let's do what we call sensible Thanksgiving. And let's do sensible gathering. I think it summarizes everything. I know a professor of infectious disease of that magnitude, he has just summarized it, which means it means a lot of things. Now, saying that to us also is that let's be sensible with what we do. Now, but the main thing is that we should get information and the rest, which means that, which takes me to the third point. The third point is most of us actually can actually get, log in and also to look at what you call the NCDC travel protocol. NCDC, they've done a lot of work.
They've done a
The
very
Presidential
They have-
Task Force
they
are
have
not
tried.
saying, you
They
know,
have tried. to
they've
be
been doing a
honest.
lot of work, you know, and there are a lot of work that goes on in the background that you don't see in the presidential time, in the
This
meetings.
travel
So-
guideline, is it just for people flying? Is it just for people living in the country? Or is it also, inclusive of me that is going to my remote village?
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
Okay.
That if you're going to move some meter, if you're going to have, and I'll come to the gathering, but
Okay.
in terms of movement, there is a lot of, and I can tell you that now they are also trying to put up a write-up to tell what we call a guidance, what we call travel aid for you to travel to the interland. When I mean travel aid, fly to our local, to our villages, to our state capitals and all those things, and then the movement, how we proceed with it. We can actually abide with that, The fourth one is that, which is for all of us to actually know that when we are traveling, we are all in it together. It means when you're going to travel and you're going to go, if you're going to enter the plane alone and then you're going to have, the pilot is still going to move the plane. It's going
Exactly.
to, So that simply tells us that we are all in it together. It simply means that the fifth one will be for us to also have what we call a sensible discussion. Just like the discussion we're having, if we just see anybody that is basically close to us that's not with the face mask, say please, or is using his chin
mask.
mask,
Or ear
you just say,
mask,
or
or
ear
nose
mask. Then you just tell him that, okay, let's put it, and that has been made possible when we talk about the aircraft. They've already segmented and labeled the seat, and you know where to sit so that we can maintain the airboat drive. They use what we call the hand sanitizers and all those things. But when we talk about our own, luxurious and all those stuff and the rest, most time now you see state government are also promising free transport ride to, to the villages and all those things. We need to also...
Hopefully they don't do that this year.
They will not do that this
They
year.
shouldn't do that. It's not safe.
It's not safe. So they will have to actually abide by that. And it also tells us that all those transporters should make sure that the hand sanitizers are there and some things are there. They can procure it. They can make sure that it happens so that people can move. Now, personally, if you get into the vehicle, by the time you get into the vehicle, but before you leave your house, make sure you use your hand sanitizer, make sure you use it effectively, and make sure that you have at least maybe 2 to 3 face masks. When I mean face masks, we mean face masks, comfortable face masks. Often than not, you see people complain and tell you that the string actually causes a lot of problem in the ear and dress. There are comfortable ones made up of cloth, made up of nice ones that you can actually use. By the time we have that, we now get to the station or we get to the airport, we use our sanitizer, we enter, and then we can come, we tell people, you use your face mask, and then the person by the side is not using a face mask and is coughing. You need to have a sensible discussion, not fight, but sensible discussion so that he can also buy into it. And by the time we get down, we get to our village, to the hinterland. People say when they get to that place, they don't need to shake, they won't want to touch their elderly. No, you can actually do that and also advise them that because of this and this, let's use hand sanitizer. If everybody uses it, it is going to be safe for all of us. And in terms of gathering, which is where the thing is, over December, everybody will come to come and visit. Queen Liza is back. Everybody will be trooping in numbers. It's also good for us to also keep some regulations and say, okay, 20 people, 10 people, and dress, and even have some seat to have it. Often than not, this is the best time for us to actually keep and say, okay, distances and the rest. I saw something when we went to one of the villages close by. It was time for prayers, and I saw in the mosque, you see where you can stay and pray. And I said, wow, in this village, in this village, well thought out, and it just takes a intervention of one person who just told them that let's do this, and everybody went with it. So we can say that when people are going to gather, they should gather. When you are going to go out and go out sensibly. Now, something that is very important is that by the time you get into your personal vehicle and you're going to move, it's good to disinfect. Disinfect where? The AC points.
Oh.
The air conditioning point.
Okay.
All air conditioners usually have a filter.
Yeah.
That is where the source of infection is. That is where the needles, where the, COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 usually home. So if you get into the car, for instance, and then, the vent, and you spray around it, and you put on the AC, the first thing that happens in any AC that you on, even the car AC, is that it absorbs, it mops air into the filter before you now see it circulates, and then you come in. Because
so we can also do it with the one in the house.
In the house can be done. All ACs.
Wow.
Because air circulates. It's circulation of air. And that's what Barrister said. He said he got there. The man now came in and on the AC, right? Put on the AC.
They didn't sanitize.
And then, so what they can do better is that disinfect the AC area and switch it on. It absorbs it into the filter. That destroys most of the corona that is there. And
Doc, for
that
me,
will help us when we get
yeah,
to
for me, I actually
these are
think
really very.
I told you that each
I
time
don't
I
know about
sit
that.
with Dr. Unisa,
You want to go to medical
go
school?
mind
Yes,
blowing.
I just like, why didn't I?
You
for
can
me,
still go.
At this age.
I think it's
Chukwuba, you are
actually
doing
best.
well economically.
It's actually best if we can have our ceremonies all outdoor. The rain is not falling. If it's possible, most of your ceremonies, there are gardens. If it's in the villages, there are, the village square, you have compound. Keep it outside. Because when it's outside, the natural air interacts and it's easier.
Yeah, correct.
So if you have to stay indoor, just the way we do in the studio here, before every recording, we come in and disinfect the studio. And when we are done, we still do the same thing. Everything is taken care of. So that way, in between, the people don't get to contract infection. If I even have to visit you, I'd rather stay outside. And I don't know why people need to visit people anyway.
But they need to visit. Well, even if they visit, let me just add a point to that. After disinfecting and you're outside, try and make sure that you stay.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
We are supposed to.
Yeah, we do it like this. You see, this is some distance with my elbow. If you're not close, you are not close. Everybody can actually stay like that and visit and sit down, and then we cannot. Because with that, you can actually do the measure, even when the floor are not labeled or marked.
Wow.
And I think this is very, very important. Disinfect your area, make social gathering, do a lot of things and the rest. Please, let's take this face mask seriously. Face mask is very, very important. And you see, when you put it on, it basically makes sure that you cover. And this is what we call face masks. You see the face mask covering the nose, you see the mouth and the rest, and the chin. Not for us to use a chin mask, not to use an ear mask, not to use a nose mask, but to use what we call a face mask. God bless us all as we celebrate.
Sometimes you think you know things and you don't realize there's so much more that you need to know. But we also have the danger of people knowing and not wanting to use the information that they have. I'm going to come back to that COVID guard that you talked about.
Yeah.
And this is the, this is the reason why. Because the information you gave out now, if we all use it, there are some countries that have like the minimalist, if I can use that word,
Go ahead, shoot.
number of infection
Of
is
course.
because they have decided wearing mask is compulsory and everybody followed suit and they did just that. Now, when you talked about the fact that there is now a vaccine that will come in and the transportation process, my head was spinning. Oh, will it not defrost and somebody will refreeze it and then move it, and by the time you are even injecting somebody, it's no longer potent. Or how are we going to deal with all that? I know that is your headache, so we are hoping that, you know, the doctors and all those involved will do the needful and then make sure that when these vaccines get to people, it gets to them in the right condition. And we're not getting false hope to say we are not immune, whereas we're still very much at risk. And as we head into the festive season, we can't thank you enough, Doc, for information that we need, because we, you know, when you are informed, you can't be deformed.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah,
Ah,
at
I
all.
feel like I know rhyme. Thank you so much for spending such quality time with us, having a conversation about something that is truly important, and we do care about you, honestly. So make sure that you imbibe all these lessons, all these tips that the doctor has given to us today, because if we are here without you, we cannot have a conversation.
Definitely.
And we want to have a conversation. So
Definitely.
you promise you'll be good, right? Yeah, thank you. We'll be back next time, so stay right there. This is, of course, NTA and the conversation. Thanks to everyone. Rich panel we have today. We say
Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye.